Now, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome on stage our customer from the media and entertainment segment. Please welcome Mr. Biren Ghose, Country Head, Technicolor, India.
Looking good, Biren? Thank you for having me. Thank you. Yeah, I'll take that. Okay. So Biren heads Technicolor. Technicolor, of course, needs no introduction. One of the world's leading studios doing work across the globe. But I want to tee this conversation up with you, Biren. Let's talk a little bit to us about what you're doing in India. What is Technicolor India about? And if you can share that with the audience, that'll be fantastic.
Thank you, Pradeep, and thank you for having me here. We are a 102-year-old startup, and our business straddles the areas of creating, managing, and delivering audiovisual content globally. The company has a very strong technology DNA. We have about 30,000 patents, and this is leveraged by 8,000 or more digital artists around the globe, 3,100 of which are in Bangalore. Our connected home business is set-top boxes and gateways in which we are world leaders, and at this moment in time, we are in about 500 million homes on the planet. In the creative avatar, which is where we spend our time in partnerships such as with Autodesk, we partner the Hollywood majors, and we've done that for a long, long time, for 10 decades or more, and we co-create with them the finest visuals that most of you see on screen. Our prowess in crafting images on any screen is, in a sense, the wind in the sails of storytellers, directors, cinematographers, and people of that ilk. We try and delight them with our new inventions in ways that help them to mount their projects and their products in a bigger and bigger avatar. We're essentially a B2B company, innovating solutions at the cutting edge of media and entertainment. And we partner the world's who's who, wherever content is created, distributed, and consumed. Our focus in India is to be the room next door to Hollywood, the room next door to the UK, the room next door to where brands create contents in advertising and filmmakers create the big stuff for the big screen. We've established a very deep reservoir of talent and technology under one roof here in Bangalore, which is unparalleled. This allows for the India studio to deliver thousands of minutes of animation and tens of thousands of CG assets annually.
Wow.
Technicolor India is a kind of an engine under the hood to our global ecosystem of studios, from Shanghai in the east to Hollywood in the west, and no other single location has created the volume and quality of shows as has our TV animation business, where we've earned 7 Emmy Awards in the last 7 years we've been around. Thank you. It's a big credit to our team. Our teams have distinguished themselves, and many of you are familiar with the work that we've done on Kung Fu Panda and King Julian and Ninja Turtles and Mickey Mouse. You've heard of Mickey Mouse, and many, many more. Globally, computer games is an even bigger genre than motion pictures. And we're privileged and honored to be working on some of the biggest AAA titles in history. Those of you who've played Grand Theft Auto 5 would know that in the first 2 days, it made $800 million. In the first 2 months, it made $1.5 billion, and that was a year and a half or so ago. And we lost count because I can't hold that many zeros. I don't have a wide screen in there.
Yeah.
You may perhaps not be aware that a lot of these iconic titles have been produced here at Technicolor India. So when it comes to gaming, assets and animation and the art is what we do. The visual effects advertising group spans 2 of our entities, the Mill and MPC Advertising. And as one example, MPC Advertising has produced over 400 projects for major global brands in India over the last 12 months. Only some of those logos are up here on the screen. Visual effects in motion pictures is really where the heavy lifting takes place. It requires a massive scale, massive complexity. A man and machine come together like I think in no other industry on the planet. In these past 7 years, since we established MPC Film in Bangalore, we've produced over 100 major big-ticket Hollywood titles with 7 Oscar nominations and 2 Oscar wins. Thank you. We have over 1,000 people that work in this business out here. It was a great honor and a great privilege this year in January when, for the fact that we worked with between London and Bangalore with about 600 people, 300 here in Bangalore, we managed to get the Outstanding VFX Oscar for Disney's The Jungle Book, right? How many of you here have seen The Jungle Book? Oh, thank you. It had 170 crores in India alone, which is really a small part of its global box office, but the highest ever English box office in India. Yeah. As breaking news, for the last 3 days, I'm happy to tell you that the Oscar shortlist for 2018 has just been announced, and we are 8 out of the 20 shortlisted movies. Yeah. Images speak louder than words. We're a company that actually makes images, and we don't talk too much, so I'm really delighted to be here because I get a chance to talk. But I have a special 90-second sizzle reel of all the stuff that we did a little bit of the stuff that we did in the last 1 year, and maybe we'll play that now.
Let's run that. That, folks, was a very impressive overview of the work that you do here. I'd like to kind of challenge you to go a little deeper into some of the things that really excited you about the work that you did. A little deeper, peel the onion a little bit, show us what happened under the covers, and let us know peel the curtain a little and show us what you guys did.
Okay, so I have 26 things to say to you in 2.5 hours.
Okay,
let's start now.
Yeah, we'll have to just do a little bit. Yeah,
edit?
Yeah,
okay.
What do you call that?
Edit?
Yeah, squeeze, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I need shotgun for that. But anyway.
We got shotgun on its way, but over to you, Biren.
Okay. Everyone here loves cars, right? So I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 quick things here, just to show how the world has changed, and nothing that you think is real anymore. Okay? So for the last 150 years, cars have become an article of clothing to people living in an urban jungle. And no wonder that car advertising is actually aimed at pleasing the toys for boys and girls. What are the challenges that automotive companies face today in creating a commercial? Simple. They don't have the car yet.
Okay.
The prototype and design is not ready. They haven't seen the presentation.
Saurav is building that as we speak,
okay.
Yes.
They can't take the prototype to some Arctic location that they want to shoot in, and so on and so forth. And the solution is that our group company, The Mill, has solved all these problems by creating the fantastic Blackbird. This is a car rig that can be lengthened and widened and can mimic all of the physicality of a real car. Its chassis can be adjusted, its gear shifts actually are real time, suspension heights, driving characteristics, and it combines high dynamic range imagery and 3D laser scanning to produce 100% realistic virtual version of a car in any environment that you choose. We've even developed in the last year an augmented reality app so that you can be looking at changing colors and changing configurations while this car is being shot with that rig. So we have a video called The Human Race, and it's available on YouTube online, that shows how we merge VFX and live-action storytelling by combining and leveraging a game engine technology with our own virtual production toolkits. Now, everything that you're seeing in this film, which is the race between a robot and a man, is virtual. Nothing that you've seen in this video is a real car. And that's the future of storytelling when it comes, I'm using automotive as an example, but that's really what's going to happen with the virtual world. Let's talk about environments. Creative design, and we've seen lots of examples this morning, has moved beyond trying to develop a new product. The challenge for creativity today is that we need to design experiences, end-to-end experiences. And crafting stories, therefore, is as much about the contextual setting as it is about characters or dialogues or anything else. Especially on a big screen, it's really important to make sure that we can demonstrate the extraordinary craftsmanship that companies like MPC Film bring in order to help fashion a variety of spectacular landscapes. Some of you would have seen the movie on screen right now, Murder on the Orient Express, which has snowscapes, old engines, steam coming out, and all of that stuff is actually done by us. If you saw the new J.K. Rowling movie last year, we worked on all the previous 7 Harry Potters. This was Fantastic Beasts. We had to create New York in 1926. And in order to do that, it's a really difficult set to make, but not in the world of visual effects. And those of you who were deeply immersed in the forest at the Jungle Book should know that, for reference, we went 18,000 kilometers across the jungles in India in 3 seasons, taking 400,000 photographs just for reference, because that actually helped to create the sense of immersion. So where I'm headed in this conversation is that we work with people like Sir Ridley Scott to create very different landscapes. He wanted to do The Martian. It cannot look like the moon, it cannot look like Mars, it cannot look like Earth. And we actually then worked with him on Aliens Covenant this year in order to take the partnership to another level. So here on the screen, you're going to watch some extraordinary shot breakdowns of environments that take you to the guts of how computer graphics and artistry combine to make environments, which are so important for a big screen. So in Aliens Covenant, as well as producing several creatures, MPC was tasked with making an alien environment. It's actually a 10-kilometer long city. We spoke of smart cities earlier. This is ultra smart. It's not even here. Okay. Show this to the Rajasthan government. and there are 15,000 buildings. There are 500,000 trees. There are 250,000 engineers. And that's some of the stuff that we had to do to make that happen. So a little bit of a glimpse behind that. Let's talk about digital doubles. Some of you are actually under the misconception that I'm standing here on the stage with you.
We aren't.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're out in the bar having a drink.
Sorry? Because I just did that water thing doesn't mean it's real.
Right. Yeah.
So the technology to create digital humans is getting quite sophisticated, right? Are we as humans prepared to live among these digital humans? I think that's a conversation for another session.
Day.
But what's real and now is the fact that digital humans are very much a part of acting in the big screen. And there are many reasons why this happens, for reasons of safety. In the Jungle Book, for example, there's this lovely one boy and everything else is digital. But guess what? For about 20-30% of the movie, the boy is not real either. Don't forget, Disney only had one boy.
Okay.
So if something happened to him, you know what I'm saying?
No insurance.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So recreating a human in the computer is something that's received a massive boost. MPC Film was asked to come up to save the movie Fast and Furious 7 because Paul Walker unfortunately died in a car crash. And the movie hadn't been completed, and then this had to go on from that point onward. And the same team, headed by the same supervisor in 2015, had to again do Schwarzenegger, who you saw earlier, which is just digital double of the young Schwarzenegger. They took his old footage from 1977 when he had some documentaries from his old movies, but his anatomy had changed, his body had changed. And so we really had to make sure that we had to hand animate the young Schwarzenegger who is together in Terminator Genesis with the older Schwarzenegger, and they actually come together in a face-off between one and the other. So this is where, this is why I'm telling you that the younger real me is sitting out there, and this is just me for the purpose of Autodesk University.
All right.
Okay, so moving on from here, let's move on to talking about where this technology will go in 2017 and 18. Many of you have seen the Blade Runner 2049, and I think there's a presentation on that later in the day in the M&E track. But what you do not know when you saw that movie is that Rachel is actually a hand model, anatomically accurate. You see the sound effects? When I talk about Rachel, you heard that? It goes from there to there.
That train is a virtual train. Yeah.
That's a virtual train. It's not real.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's my next section, actually. It came too early. All right. Anyway, so our 3D modelers went and created Rachel from previous footage and had to do an identical match in order for Blade Runner to look the way it does. And we used proprietary software that we created for hair and color textures and making sure that her eyebrows and eyelashes and everything were detailed. And we tested this in the studio with the original footage of the movie. And when they couldn't tell which was which, we thought, okay, here's the time to send our invoice, right?
Yes.
That's the time you send the invoice, at that very moment.
Okay.
Just like you do.
We do it on time, all the time. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to immersive experience. Everyone talks of immersive experiences. We've had this fantastic center in which Autodesk has been invited a few times since we started last year. It's in Culver City, California.
Okay.
It's called the Experience Center. And all of our companies and studios all over the world, as we create immersive stuff, VR, AR, etc., this is like a center of learning because we're all learning in an ecosystem that is immersive media. So with the advent of immersive media in recent times, I think that's what everybody is talking about. How many of you here have actually tried glasses on? And yeah, a lot of
everybody.
you. So the best is yet to come. We worked on 65 major projects in the last year. And most of these are either promotional or they are done by brands, or when we make a big movie, we do something at that time. So The Martian and Goosebumps and Jungle Book and Suicide Squad and all of these movies, we also made a VR piece. In fact, for Aliens Covenant, we made a 17-minute piece with Sir Ridley Scott, which is a bit long, but it's great.
Yeah, we're not playing that today.
We work with a lot of brands. Yeah. We work with Google, we work with Sony, we work with ATT, and a number of other folks here. So that's pretty much the VR world.
Okay. And where do you think you're going? You want to talk to us about this?
If I have time. This is the last goodbye.
Yeah.
It's a viewer's experience, a very personal journey. It's about the Holocaust survivor, Pinkus, who went to Poland, to the concentration camp in which his sister and his parents were killed, lost his family during World War II. And we went there with him to capture hours of 3D video, thousands of photographs, and make sure that he kind of takes us through the railway car and the gas chamber and so on. It's a bit of a grim thing to show you, but the reason I'm doing that is to show you the power of VR. And when we talked earlier on about palaces and so on in the morning session, you can recreate history. You can make sure that the young people know what to do and what to look out for and what's real in life. So that's the reason I'm showing that to you.
Okay. So in terms of, so this is all wonderful stuff that you've been doing today. Where do you think the industry is going? You know, what's the next big thing for Technicolor India?
The rapid change in technology makes hardware and software obsolete at a blinding pace, right? Think about the new versions we have to get from you every year.
Every day, you weren't listening when Tatiana was talking. We don't have to wait for it for the next year. It just comes in.
This poses a huge challenge in the development of skill sets.
Yes.
When we now talk to institutes of design and are asked for curriculums of the future, we don't know what to say because the curriculum design should change every 3 or 5 years, depending on how do you prepare someone who's 15 or 18 for what he should do at 25. At the enterprise level, we see that big data and AI and everything you talked about in architecture or manufacturing, et cetera, it's all actually happening in our world, in the world that we live in. And whether with a camera or a computer, you don't take a shot.
You make that shot.
So we're about making things like all people that are high skill sets do. And over time, we focused on making those best shots. The things that are happening, I think, which to answer your question is the compression of the value chain. So certain things used to be produced and then they were post-produced or edited. But as you saw from the human race, the post-production is kind of merging into the production. You can keep doing it in real time.
As production is happening.
And so there's going to be a whole difference in the way that workflows and pipelines and so on move forward. Autodesk, I believe, has the same goal as us, which is that you want to create new value when it comes to advancements in imagery. And that's really what we're looking to get. In the old days, we had to open a physical box, but today there's a box
Cloud.
that we kind of pull things out of.
Absolutely.
So no matter how tools and technologies improve, a writer, for example, is a person to whom writing is very difficult. Animators are people that want stuff to happen for them at the power of their thought and their imagination and as they do it. They don't want to be sitting there waiting for something to happen in the future. And I think that's where we are all moving together. And I'd like to kind of sum up by saying that the human element in creativity will still remain.
It's never going away.
Overriding everything that we do. I thank you for having me here. I hope you have felt the wonder. What we see through our eyes in the world today is reality. But what we see through animation and visual effects helps people to see what their hearts and their minds want to see.
Excellent. I couldn't have summed it up better. Thank you, Biren. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it's about not taking that shot, it's about making that shot. It's the future of making things happen. So Biren, thank you so much once again. Big round of applause, guys. Did you guys feel the wonder? Absolutely we did. Back to you, Shabir.
Thank you.